Early in his presidency, Donald Trump made the surprising claim that the Obama administration spied on him during the 2016 race. That produced an immediate backlash, but the president did not back off. Instead, he repeated that allegation, in fact, to us, including to us right here on the show. On March 4th, 6:35 in the morning, you're down in Florida and you tweet, "The former administration wiretapped me, surveilled me at Trump Tower during the last election." How did you find out? You said, "I just found out." How did you learn that?
I've been reading about things. I read in, I think it was January 20th, a New York Times article where they were talking about wiretapping. There was an article, I think they used that exact term. If you take a look at some of the things written about wiretapping and eavesdropping, and don't forget, when I say wiretap, those words were in quotes. That really covers, because wiretapping is pretty old-fashioned stuff, but that really covers surveillance and many other things.
Well, the next day, the political director over at CNN, David Chalian, really more a political activist, but mocked the president for saying this and called him a liar.
He can no longer justify not retracting those tweets, apologizing for accusing Barack Obama of a crime without any evidence whatsoever. It's just not okay for the president of the United States to make this kind of completely unsubstantiated claim.
It's just not okay for them to criticize Barack Obama, says David Chalian, CNN political director. He wasn't the only one, by the way. The Senate Intel Committee released a statement suggesting Trump was lying, too. Keep in mind, the chairman is a Republican from North Carolina. And then every bland, clueless person in Washington, in Consensusville here in D.C., lined up to denounce the big orange liar. Watch.
President Trump has a new favorite word, and every time he uses it, he is lying. And that is the word spy.
His baseless claims of spies.
This is the president of the United States telling people, don't believe what this federal government is doing. And that has very, very dangerous consequences.
The notion that somehow the FBI planted someone inside the campaign to spy on the campaign is just not true.
There's absolutely no evidence there was a spy.
He wants you to believe that his campaign was spied on, and it's one of the worst things that we've ever seen from government.
The group you just saw were hysterical at the idea that Trump might believe there was spying on his campaign. They were hysterical because they suspected it might actually be true. And now we know that it was. In fact, according to recent testimony from a high-ranking FBI official, the spying turned out to be far more extensive than Trump suspected. Even James Clapper had to concede that.
Using undercover agents is a standard and legitimate technique that is widely used in investigations. That technique has been used to thwart a lot of counterterrorism plots in this country. So I'm sure, I mean, there are protocols and standards for using an agent, and I'm sure that's the case here.
Was it spying?
Well, yeah, I guess it meets the dictionary definition of surveillance or spying, a term I don't particularly like.
The New York Times reported that the FBI sent an investigator posing as an assistant to meet with a Trump aide, George Papadopoulos, in 2016. Does that qualify as spying?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on a particular investigative step because that's for the Bureau to do, and I'm not in the government any longer. But the FBI doesn't spy to begin with. The FBI investigates.
They're just going to redefine what spying means. They've already redefined what sex means, what it means to be a man and a woman. So, like, not a big deal to redefine something as simple as spying.
Sending an investigator undercover to meet with somebody who is connected to the campaign, they claimed he was later on just a coffee boy. That is an extreme step, no?
No. Really, it would be bizarre if you didn't send secret agents to lie to staffers on a rival presidential campaign to say they would spill information while keeping the whole thing from their boss. It's totally normal.
If that was so very normal, as James Comey insists, can he please provide a precedent in U.S. history where something akin to that took place? Because I've looked and I haven't found it.
Did you sign off on the investigator going?
I don't remember talking about that particular step with my team. I knew they were trying to see if they could check it out. That's a totally normal step.
I don't know if I had anything to do with it, but it would be a totally normal step.
I think it's just so crucial to underscore that the actions we already know that the FBI and to some extent the CIA and perhaps even the NSA undertook all constituted a massive encroachment by these federal law enforcement and intelligence agencies into the domestic political affairs of the United States.
Normally, when Russia intersects with a U.S. person or a U.S. citizen, the FBI goes to that person and asks and warns them about what Russia is up to and asks for their cooperation so that we can obtain more intelligence about what the Russians are up to. So it's why they decided from the outset to make members of the Trump campaign a target of a counterintelligence investigation is still a puzzle, because the predication to do so is literally not there, according to the Mueller report.
One thing that I try to implore to my progressive friends who tend to brush this issue aside and don't particularly care about it is, okay, so are you telling me that if the Trump administration were to send a spy or even a series of spies to, I don't know, go and try to entrap a campaign official associated with the Bernie Sanders campaign, are you saying you'll just be content with that and you just won't pay it much mind? I don't think so, but that's the kind of thing that happens when this occurs with rival candidates that you don't like. A precedent gets enshrined that then can be used for other purposes down the road.
We had the Russia hoax, this allegation that the Donald Trump campaign treasonously colluded with Russia to steal the 2016 election. That ended with a fizzle. Robert Mueller declined to indict a single American for that. At the same time, we start learning these other things, such as what Eric Felton has just reported on, about a wide-ranging campaign against the Trump campaign that used human informants, national security letters, wiretaps. The Ozra Turk character, and I don't think that's her real name, is an actual government official, I believe, who was sent to London to oversee the operation. We know that there were probably 4 people who were surveilled, at least. We don't know so much about this, and the media show a shocking lack of curiosity. The New York Times actually broke this story about Ozra Turk, but then they kind of downplayed it and acted like, but don't worry, this doesn't actually support that. We're going to tell you all about this spy, but that doesn't support Donald Trump's contention that he was spied on. In fact, it completely supports the contention that the campaign was spied on, and they need to cover it with the same rigor that they devoted to the crazy conspiracy theory that they fell for multiple years.